Let me introduce you one. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's talk for Zoomdemic 2.0. Today we have with us Mamta, PhD research scholar at Center for Linguistics, JNU. Be taking us through the world of numeral systems, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot from today. Just a heads up for participants who are new. Please keep your mics on mute and your video feeds off so that there is no internet connectivity issue in between. As for today's talk, we'll be taking up any clarification on data point in between the talk, and then there will be particular pause points where you can bring up conceptual questions. If it's a larger discussion question, then I hope you won't mind if we put it towards the end at the question answer round. If you have the question in your mind, you can either type it out in the group chat box or you could raise your hand in the participants tab. We are good to go. Over to you now, Mamta.
Thank you, Rashmi. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm audible enough now?
Yes, perfectly fine.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Mamta, and I'm pursuing my PhD under the guidance of Aisha. And the topic of my PhD is a typology of numeral systems of South Asian languages. But here I'm presenting introduction of the linguistics of the basic numeral systems, and I'm not covering all the parts, but yeah. So before starting this presentation, I would like to request you all that while I'll go through the concepts or the parameters of the numeral systems or with the data, it will be like really fun and interesting if parallelly you guys can also analyze the numeral system of your mother tongues. And if you find something interesting or unusual system, please do let us know in the chat box, or then we'll discuss it later, or if possible then and there. So let's begin. So I'd like to start with the definition of numbering, counting, numeral system. What Wan Chao in 2011 says that counting or numbering is an integral and inseparable part of the grammar of any language, because there's hardly any meaningful linguistic discourse in a language that does not make reference to quantity, size, time, distance, and weight in definite numbers. Hammerstrong in 2009 uses a spoken noun expression that are used to denote the exact number of objects for an open class of objects in an open class of situations with the whole speech community in question. So what I think about this is that the numbers should be, numeral should be described like all other parts of lexicon from the point of view of its syntactic construction and its internal morphology. In this presentation, I am basically focusing on the encapsulated morphology of it. Throughout this presentation, the term numeral will be used to refer to the sequence that basically describes a number. For example, any number, 2, 74, 75, 500, 5 million, or 300,000, 2,201, whatever. And each morphological unit within such a sequence is a numeral word. So these are the topics which I'm going to cover.
Mamta, one sec. Could you get your mic piece closer to yourself? Your volume is a bit low.
Okay. Thank you. So we're going to discuss basically these types of numeral systems today: the cardinals, ordinals, multiplicatives, fractions, distributive numerals, numeral classifier languages, and we'll see at the end how different is numeral one. So basically this presentation is divided into 3 parts. First part, we'll see some basic concepts, then we'll go through the data, and then we'll see some more interesting features and the concepts of numeral system. So the very basic concepts are this, which we are going to deal one by one: simplex and the complex numerals, arithmetic operations, atoms, bases, running numerals, switch, packing strategy, recursive principle, idiosyncrasies, overcounting, and the word order. Let's begin with the very basics: atom and base. So the simplest lexicalization of number in a language, and those from which more complex numerals are constructed, are atoms. So in most of the cases, it's monosyllabic in structure, and that also depends on language to language. In some languages, there are some atoms which are disyllabic also. And the number of atoms in a particular language, natural language, also vary from language to language. Like in some languages, atoms are till 1 to 5, in some it's still 12, in some it's still 9, and some it's 12. We'll see the example, get to know about this more. Further, our next topic concept is base. So in any formation pattern of a numeral system, bases are those elements with which the smallest continuously recurring sequence, which is your atom, of numeral is combined. So the base of a numeral system like that can be envisioned as the main building block of the system. So if it is the first number reached in counting, like which is used to build higher numbers by being itself counted in a regular manner. So what happened, like base is of so many of different kinds in different world languages. Like if the system is based on 4, that is known as quaternary system. If the system is based on 5, that's quinary system. If it's based on 6, quinary. So it goes on. If it's 8, bioctal, then 10, then it's decimal system. If system is based on 12, it's duodecimal, 20, vigesimal, 24 also is there, which is called quadrogesimal system, 32 deotrogesimal system, 60 sexagesimal, and 80 octagesimal system. Along with these systems, there are languages which have mixed and the hybrid base system also, where in the same language you have more than one base. So there's a language in Nepal called Chepang language. They are completely based on duodecimal system. Here we will see the example of Sora language, which is an Austro-Asiatic language. We'll see here the atoms are 1 to 10, and 11 are somewhere like formed with the one part of 10, which is Gale. It's there in 12 also, but Mu and Mi in 11, 12, they are not part of 1 or 2. So they are not the part of atom, but they are idiosyncrasies. Only idiosyncrasy only refer to the like deviation of a particular element or of a particular sequence of elements insofar as their respective form or formation like they deviates from what we could expect by the analogy, like with equivalent sequence or with neighboring elements in the counting sequence. For example, in Hindi, ek se das is your atom, then 11 comes from ek 11, but 12 is completely different. It's not coming from, it's not derived from 2, though it's 12. So 12 in Hindi is idiosyncratic. But again, फिर 13, 14, 15, 16, it goes on with 3 से 13, 4 से 14, 5 से 15, like that. So here 11, 12 falls under idiosyncrasies. 1 to 10 you have an atom, and the base system of Sora is vigesimal, which is based on 20. The additives one from 13 to 19, they are based on 12. So 12 plus 1 is 13. 14 is Miguel Vago, which is 12 plus 2, and it goes on 12 plus 3, 12 plus 4 till 12 plus 7 for 19. When we look at the multiplicatives, basically 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, we see how they are completely based on 20. So your 20 is Bo Kuri. Bo is 1 from a boy, Bo 1, and Kuri is 2. 30 is Bo Kuri Gevi, which is 20 plus 10. Similarly, it will further move like 20 plus 11 is 31, 20 plus 12 will be your 32. Then 40 is Ba Kuri. Ba is again a first part of 2. From Bago, it's Ba, and Kuri is 20. So 2 into Bokuri is 20, and then plus 10 is your Geli. So 20 plus 10. Similarly, it goes with 40, 50, and 60. So you can like now try to like make what 41 will be. So it's Bakuri 40 plus 1, a boy, and like Bakuri Geli is your 50, and then 52 will be like 50 plus 12. And then Yakuri is 3 into 20, and 70 will go like 3 into 20 plus 10. 80 will be your 4 into 20. Here it is. Tinkalo is another language which is based on the mixed system. So till some point, they take base as 10. Further, they take base as 20. From 60 to 80, it takes base 60. And from 80 to 199, it takes base 80. So this is what I was talking about, the mixed and the hybrid system. We'll get to know more about this atom and the base when we'll see more data further. Then basically, numerals are divided into 2 parts. They are of 2 types, simplex one and the complex one. So with a single numeral word, numeral is called simplex, and with more than one, and when numerals are joined in different ways, it forms complex numerals. So you can see basically almost every natural language has a certain number of cardinality expression that are like simple arbitrary forms. In English, you can say 1 to 12. They are the simplex numerals, and in Hindi, it's 1 to 10. 1 से 10. And In complex numeral system, the existing simple numerals, they are employed as constituents of morphosyntactic combination. So for example, 18 is a combination of 10 and 8 in English. And basically the atoms and the bases, they combine to produce complex numeral systems with the help of arithmetic operations that you can see here, the arithmetic operation in the corner here. And the operations which are used here are addition and multiplication, but there are languages which use subtraction and division as well. So basically the derivation of this complex or the non-basic numerals, they may add up some other grammatical process also. Like you can see here, compounding and vowel elision and clipping are also used, but they are really very rare. So it's not just simple numbers and the complex number, they together forms with arithmetic operation, they form the numeral system. But there are languages where instead of arithmetic operation, they use classifier or conjunctive market. So in example for Bodo, they have base, atom, and in between they have classifier to form the complex numeral. Similarly, like languages in Nahali, they have conjunctive marker between the base and the atom to form complex numeral. So in totality, we can say that the numeral system basically consists of a set of monomorphemic arbitrary shaped numeral forms called simple numerals and the set of morphosyntactic rules which combine these simple numerals into more complex numerals by means of semantically underlying arithmetic operations. And this is the hierarchy of the operation in the construction of numerical expressions. General one is the addition and multiplication. Subtraction and division are rarely in use, but they are in use. This is one of my favorite examples from Kate, where 71 is like amazingly formed. It's 100 minus 30 plus 1. You have subtraction and addition both taking place in the same numeral. So Kusam, Ayam, Dangas, Bansang, Ki is 1 left over 30 without 100. It's just 71. In Dravidian languages, in Tamil and Telugu, they have subtraction also, like their 9 is 10 minus 1, not an atom, it's 10 minus 1. 1 is Undru, 10 is Patu, together they are forming 9. And the base system of Tamil is decimal. Telugu again, the 8 is 10 minus 2. Similarly, 18, 28, 38 till 98, 48, 58, they are all formed with the help of subtraction. Division is rarely, very rare. In Maitharon only, I have found till this time that they have division, which is 50. Yang Hai means half of the 100. Then with all, that's how basically your numeral system, the cardinal system builds. Then we have some principal works in the background, which are recursive principle and packing strategy. So what recursive principle rule is, in the sense that the numeral system, it contains elements that are themselves composed of elements of the same system. So the recursive principle for the formation of complex numeral implies that every complex systemic numeral has this structure numeral becomes numeral plus numeral. Like if you have 28, it's 20 plus 8 or 8 plus 20. So this general arrangement of element of the entire numeral system is determined by this principle. Packing strategy, it's the sequential arrangement of some constituents of the combined numerals. The form, these numeral forms allow us to distinguish between the constant and the variable here. Then we infer from this description that the two elements of an arithmetic operation, they perform different roles. So in linguistic numeral systems, however, the two constituents of such a combination we are seeing here, in addition to the underlying arithmetic operation, also stand in the morphosyntactic relation to each other. That is the element order of the two values, like in addition and in multiplication, is potentially though not necessarily significant. So it therefore makes sense to distinguish between the variables within a sequence of addition, like which is called addend, and the respective constant referred to as organs. Like here in 15 and in 28, this 10 in 22 into 10, they are the augend, and this 5, 10, which are going to change again and again, they are addend. So the same distinction is necessary for combination based on multiplication also. And similarly, we will employ the terms multiplicand and multiplier and for the sequence of multiplication. And this distinction implies that within a multiplication, the multiplicand is the constant and the multiplier will be the variant in the form of recurring sequence of the atom. These both terminological pairs, progend addend and the multiplier multiplicand, were first used by the Greenberg in 1978 and in the context of linguistic numeral system. So these are the very basic points you first need to know before proceeding to look for the data. So if you have any question, you can ask me, or then I'll move towards my work and the data.
So far, no hand raised or question typed in the group chat box.
Okay, so let's move towards my work. So these are the languages currently I'm working on. And almost I have collected data for all these languages except for 13. For 13 languages, I'm using secondary data, especially for Ongan, Great Andaman.
There is one question, if you permit that question.
Yeah.
Anjali wants to know whether multiplicands are generally bases.
Multiplicands are not some multiplicand. Yeah, exactly one multiplicand. If it's 10, if it's 20, depends on the language.
Okay. Anjali, clear?
Can I come in?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Mamta, can you go back to that slide?
Yeah.
So here, multiplicand. So when you say 30, you're saying that the multiplicand is 10.
10.
So in 30 it's 10, and in 200 it's 100, and
Yeah.
they're both also the basis of that figure, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If language is based on decimal, it will be like if it's 3 into 20, it depends on the language to language what multiplication.
Oh, okay.
10.
Okay.
I said that the bases are of different variety.
Right. Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Should I proceed?
Yes, please.
Okay, so these are the languages I'm currently working on. And for some languages, I'm referring secondary data, basically the Ongan, Andamanese, Nicobaris, and language isolates. And for others, I'm using questionnaire method, and that questionnaire, first we use the questionnaire by Zeph Barbiers, but further we developed that questionnaire. We means me and Aisha, we developed that questionnaire, which now covers almost all the topic related to the numerals, linguistics of the numeral system. And I did many field work, so that's not possible right now to discuss. And I use the recording method and then transcribed in IPA. For analysis, again, the data was really huge, so we decided to analyze it by coding the parameters separately. Here are some topics at the end, which I'm not dealing in this presentation, but I'm working on all these types also in my PhD, but I'm not dealing here. I just put the name of them here. So if someone is like really interested to work on this, they can consider these sections or these topics also. And then you can reach out to me anytime if you are interested in these topics. Like first is the type of numerals. So numerals have many types: collectives, frequentative, restrictive, approximative, aggregative. I'm dealing with only one kind of numeral, which is called distributive numeral in the next section. And you can also work on number marking, whether the plurality is marked or not. What is the structure of higher numeral? Greenberg have many universals on numerals. I'm dealing with one again here in this presentation, not with others. What is the ordinals, how ordinal works in NPs, and whether definiteness is marked or not, what happens with quantifiers, what's the scenario of borrowing. So these are the other topics where you can think of your language, your numeral system. So now we'll start with the cardinal numerals. So according to the Mengden 2009, cardinal numerals are part of larger class of expressions which all specify the size of a system. So there is a difference we can see in the definition of number and numerals. As number convey the quantity or the order, while they, which means numbers, they are represented using numerals. Here's data of some Austroasiatic language. You can take a few minutes and go through them. We can see here that the Khasi and Panar, they have their atoms till 1 to 9 because their 10 is made up of 1 into 10, so 10 will not be included in atom. In Santali and in Mundari, you have atom till 1 to 10. And then your next further numerals are built with the addition. Here the multiplicatives uses multiplication, but this side in Mundari last section, you can see that it's all based on 20. Sorry, here in API, did some mistake. It's Ukun Hishe is 4 into 20, not 4 into 10, I'm sorry. Because the Mundari system is based on decimal system. Rest, these 3 languages are based on decimal system. You can see it here. And then you just combine the numbers with your arithmetic operation and it further builds on. For Santhali, it's something different is there. So just go through the data once. Like in Santhali, 1 to 10, it's Smith, Bar, Pep, Pon, Moray, Turui, Iya, Iril, and Aragale. But when these numbers used in NP, they take some sort of classifiers. Santhali is not numeral classifier language. I'll discuss it in numeral classifier section, but just to make you understand here that the ordinal form is this, but when they are used as a modifier or in NP, they always take this classifier. With 1, they have different form. For 2 or 3, they have Aya. For 2, 3, and 4, they have Aya, and for 5, 6, 7, they have gotten or gotted. So all different ones. We'll discuss it later more. So what we saw from the tables there, that Khasi, Panar, Santhali, they are based on decimal system, and Mundari is the one which is based on the decimal system. Generally 1 to 9 are atoms. 20, 30, 40 till 90, they are called multiplicatives because mainly they take multiplication, and they are also known as crown. Your complex numerals are either additive or multiplicative, or they are sometimes multiplicative come additive, and there are some numerals in your system which are compounds also. And their formation are like the complex numerals are formed first base used and then atom, but that doesn't happen with multiplicatives. This is common in most of the languages. The complex numerals generally first take base and then atom, but multiplicatives, it's almost in most of the language, it's atom first and then base. The arithmetic operation used here are addition and multiplication, because I told you that the subtraction and division is a very rare, it happens in very rare languages. Now we have ordinals. The morphologically derived form of corresponding cardinal numerals are called ordinals. And these are formed by the various morphological processes, but most commonly by the affixation. And ordinals only show rank or position, not the quantity. So here we can see that in Khasi and Panar, they take prefix with their respective cardinal numeral. In Santhali, for first, second, and third, they are borrowed from Indo-Aryan. From Pehla, it's Pahil. From Dusra, it's Dosar. From Tisra, it's Tesar. For rest numerals, you can see that they are just taking the, they are just adding the suffix. Mundari restricted till only second. And one interesting thing to see here is that in Khasi and Panar, the form for first is different. One is V. In Panar also one is Y. But here the form is Ningkong, Ningkong. In Santhali, one is Myth. Here it's Pahil, because this is borrowed one. So I can't say that this is a suppletive form, but for Khasi and Panar, and even for Mundari, also one is Niyat, but here it's Sida. So suppletion is really common with the ordinals, especially for the form 1, for numeral 1. So we can see here, like for Khasi, Panar, and Santhali, the predicted form should be like Bawai, Bawai, Mittak, but instead of that, that is Ningkong and Pahil, which is a borrowed one. Then we have multiplicatives. So multiplicatives are used to denote the number of occurrences of the same event, right? It basically expresses how many times or how many folds, and they are also derived from the cardinal numerals. So Khasi, Mundari, and Panar, they use a suffixation, but in Santhali, they add lixeme, which gives the meaning of times. Basically, like in Hindi, we have do bar, teen bar, char bar. So domin gives the same sense. Once is not suppletive in Austroasiatic languages, but in Tibeto-Burman languages, we see that once is also are in suppletive form. So fractions are really not very common in all the languages, but fractions are basically divided into 2 types. So it's simple one and the complex one. So like in Hindi, we have Sava, Pona, Adha. In English, we have quarter, half. Those falls under simple fractions, and the complex one are like 2 bata sar, ya 3 bata 4. So those are the complex fractions. And on the basis of formation, again, the fractions are divided into 2 types, common fractions and the transcribed fractions. So whose names are already allocated to them are the common fractions. Example here we can see in Santhali, the half and 1/4. And it's really very common in Dravidian languages that common fractions are there. And in Tibeto-Burman, it's all transcribed fractions are there. So they just take numerals, or they sorry, not numerals, numerator or the denominator, and put some add lexeme, which gives the meaning of basically out of or division, and they just transcribe that with some kind of rules. Yeah, you can see like here in Khasi for the transcribe, they have some rules. They put in between hatin, re, hatin, like they just use numerator, denominator, and some words in between, which gives the meaning of this out of this. And Mundari do not have any fractions. So if you have any questions for cardinal, ordinal, multiplicatives, and fractions, you can ask. Then we'll move towards some other concepts, the interesting ones. Oh, just
Nobody has. Okay, you have one.
okay.
Gargi wants to see some examples from Tibeto-Burman languages.
It's there in further. We have some Tibeto-Burman also.
That's coming up, Gargi. Any other
Not for
question?
cardinal numerals, but yeah, for other things.
Okay.
Like I have used data set, it's not possible to like incorporate every family on every language here. But I have some numerals, example, Tibeto-Burman further.
She's okay with waiting for it.
Okay, but not for the cardinal ordinals. If she wants to ask something specific, she can ask.
Gargi wants to know what are the classifiers.
That topic is completely gonna come.
Okay.
It's a complete one topic. I'm going
So
to ask them.
thanks for that question. That will lead us to that.
Okay. So,
Any other question? Okay, you have two questions.
okay.
Yanchin wants you to explain what you said about Dravidian fractions.
Dravidian fractions.
Dravidian fractions.
Dravidian fractions. Oh, yeah. While here data is not here, but what happens in Dravidian, they really have common fractions, which is common. Like in Tibeto-Burman, they mostly have transcribed fractions, but in Dravidian, they have allocated name for half, for 4, allocated names for the common fractions.
Okay. Yanchin, that is okay for you? Yeah, she gets it. Thanks. One more question from Kinjal. He wants to know whether you have any explanation for why subtraction is a rare strategy.
No, I don't have this answer. Like, it depends. It's basically depends on why this is so. I really don't know, because generally almost in other languages also the addition and the multiplicatives are easier to form. To build further complex numerals, it becomes easy to put if we are using additive and the because multiplicatives, it's very difficult to form multiplicatives with subtraction, and if you are using subtraction, it will become difficult to build the other running numerals. Running numerals basically 21 to 29, 31 to 39, these numerals.
I have a thought here, if you permit me to say.
Yeah.
It could probably because processing reasons, it's always
that's
easier to build up rather than
exactly what I was saying. Yeah, exactly. It's easy to build up with this. So rarely some languages have, even if some languages used to have earlier, now the systems are really moving towards decimal systems. So they just for the ease.
Anujima had a comment to make regarding this. She says subtraction is prevalent throughout Indo-Aryan.
In Indo-Aryan, yeah, it is. But Indo-Aryan's numeral system is completely different. They don't have proper structure or proper rule. They are full of idiosyncrasies. You can't like give one rule that like this addition and like this multiplication is happening and they are building. You have lot many idiosyncrasies in between where you really need to like remember that thoroughly. So to give this a structure for Indo-Aryan.
Okay. Anjali has a clarification question. She wants to know the difference between common and simple fractions.
Common is simple fractions are on the basis of formation. We divide, like in some simple fractions also, simple fractions can be common also and transcribed also. Okay, so basically simple fractions are which do not include two parts which gonna be complex. Like if it's 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, like dusra bhag, chautha bhag, 8वां bhag, it becomes easy. So that becomes the simpler one. But in some languages, what happened for 1/2 also they use numerator. They use the word for one, and then for two, and some lexeme which gives the meaning of out of or division, whatever. So simple numeral can be a common fractions, or they could also be transcribed one. It depends how they are formed. If names are already allocated to that fraction, the simple one only, so they will falls under common fraction. And if they if the fractions have one common rule associated with it, then that will fall under transcribed one.
That clears it up. Anjali says thanks. One last question from Shrikar. He is asking you, do we know why addition is suffixal and multiplication prefixal?
It also then depends why prefix and why. I don't have the answer of why. I'm just looking at the structure, how it really is structured, how they are formed. But why they're using prefix and why for some suffix, it depends, because there are languages that use infix or circumfix also.
Okay, so Shrikar, that's a mystery for future work.
Yeah,
We'll let
mysteries are there.
we'll
Why
let
they use this and that I really can't.
why is always tricky.
Yeah, this
We'll
happens, but why happens, I don't know.
yeah, you can get back to your talk now.
So now we'll see some more concepts, very interesting concepts of numeral system. First one is overcounting. So we see here what Harford in 1975 says about overcounting, that whereby a number with an interpretation like x tens plus y is expressed rather in terms of being on the way to like x plus 1/10. Like for example, in older Dennis, your 50 is half that since y, which is half the third time of 20. It's really the complex, very complex one. So this kind of overcounting is rarely seen in any language. Here in Dzongkha, we see overcounting. This language is spoken in Bhutan, and it's a Sino-Tibetan language based on decimal system, where 20 means bundle, which is K. So 30 in this language is K Pya Dangi, Dani, which is 20 half. Da is a connector. Fe is your half, and in totally this Fe Dani gives the meaning like that half of the 20 approaching towards the second score, and then it gives the meaning of 30. It's not as simple as 3 into 10 is 30 or 20 plus 10 is 30. So for making 30, like half of the 20 approaching towards the second score, resulting in 30. So this kind of construction is really very rare in languages, very rare, which is overcounting. Then we have another concept of switch. So let's see the order of the complex numeral. So here's the example of 16. So if it's 6 plus 10, then order here is low high. And if it will be like 10 plus 6, which is there in the case of in some languages where the order is high low. The same goes with the hundreds also. 2 into 100 is low high. If it's 100 into 2, it's high low. So in Hungarian, you can see the order for the additives are high low, and for multiplicative, it's low high. So exactly the place where switch takes place. So I am in this, so what basically I'm looking for is whether switch follows any particular pattern in South Asian languages or not. And Harford called this switch as a word formation transformation. So it's like really common in South Asian language. We can also find the switch like this from additive to multiplicative. And this switch can be seen in higher numerals also. So for hundreds in both the families, in Indo-Aryan and Tibeto-Burman, it's low high. But when they comes to 1,000, the order gets changed. For example, you can see here in Kulvi, Gadwali, Kumaoni, in all these Indo-Aryan languages, you have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and then Hazar is also goes like 1000, 2000, 3000 kind of. But in Spiti, Bhoti, and Jhar, you can see the switch from 100 to 1000. Because in Spiti, you have Gya is 100, then 2 into 100, 3 into 100, 4 into 100 is 400. But when they reach to the 1000, Tong is 1000, Chi is 1, Tong is 1000, Ni is 2. So Tong comes first. It changes into high low, from low high, from 100 to 1000. Then that also plays some role in the structure of higher complex numerals, which I'm not dealing in this presentation. The studying the structure of higher complex numeral is one separate topic, and that's also very different and amazing how like at certain place values they put some affixes or how it basically structured and works. The next topic is word order, just to check what happens in numeral noun phrase. So in Dravidian language family, noun always follows the numeral. Same goes with Austroasiatic family also. And if the language is numeral classifier language, then the order is numeral classifier noun. In Tibeto-Burman family, the order is just opposite. Numeral follows the noun in this case. In Indo-Aryan, again, noun follows the numeral. In Tai-Khamti family, in Tai-Khamti, they have numeral follows the noun. Interestingly, in Nicobarese language also, which it's Saninyo. Saninyo is a Nicobari language, and that's a numeral classifier language, where they also have the order of numeral noun, and that numeral one do not take classifier. And for other numbers, the second example, Fan Tak Lipare, which means 4 books, where their classifier has been used. And this data is taken from Abhi's ongoing work on the numerals of Nicobarese language. Then Greenberg has given one universal on-word order, where he gives this order for the prenominal if like when any of the items like demonstrative, numeral, and adjective, they precedes the noun. If it's prenominal, this is the order. If it's postnominal, they have he proposed these 2 orders. I checked all these orders in all the languages almost, where I saw that some languages do follow the same order, but in Tibeto-Burman languages, basically, there are, you can see examples here, the order is completely different. In Spiti also, in Bhuti also, in Jad also, they are not following the same order what Greenberg has given. Even there are some languages in Austroasiatic also, which do not follow the same, this word order given by the Greenberg. And further is one type of numeral, which is distributive numeral, which it expresses notions such as 1 by 1 or in groups of 2 or 3. So cross-linguistically, what happens that reduplication is the most common strategy to form distributives. And there are other different ways also in the world languages to form distributives. Like in some languages, they don't have even distributive numerals, some marked by reduplication, some marked by prefix and suffix, some are marked by preceding or the following word, and some have mixed or other strategies. But here we can see like for Indo-Aryan, for Tibeto-Burman, even for Austroasiatic Dravidian also, they generally use the reduplication. So for ek ek, tin tin, poi ponch ponch, in Kulvi, in Garhwali, in Kumaoni, it goes same. In Spiti, what happens, you can see the bold ones for 1 by 1 and 1 by 2, there is a double reduplication. So instead of just chick chick, they use chichik chichik. For 2 by 2, they use nini nini. So it happens that in this language, sometimes they also say that they can go on with this construction by reduplicating again and again and again. This is really common for them. In Bhoti and Jad, what happens, this re form, re is not one in Bhoti or either in Jad. In Bhoti, one is chi. In Jad, one is chik. But when they are forming distributive numeral, they are using re, which is completely a suppletive form of numeral 1. But yeah, again, with the different form, reduplication is there in all the languages, in almost both the families, all the families, 4 families. And then we have numeral classifier languages. Eichenwald in 2006 explained numeral classifier as morphemes that only appear next to the numeral or quantifiers. And they may categorize the referent of a noun in terms of its animacy, shape, and the other inherent properties. Gill in 2019 says that they are additional words that have co-occur with a noun when it is enumerated and reveal the semantic classification of noun in a particular language. Basically, numeral classifier are the most commonly recognized types of classifier system after noun classes and genders. They do not have to appear on any constituent outside the numeral entity. outside the numeral NP. Thus, they're ruling out any agreement in numeral classifier between noun and other constituent. And the numeral classifiers are always morphologically realized one of the following three forms. Like they may be independent magazines, they may be affixes or critics attached to or fused with numeral. They may be attached to or fused with head noun, but this third point is really a very extreme situation. And numeral classifier are also of two types, sortal classifier and mensural classifier. Sortal classifiers individuates whatever it refers to in terms of kind of entity that it is. And mensural classifier individuates in terms of quantity, not entity, but quantity. So here we can see the example of Khasi. Khasi is a numeral classifier language. So Khasi has two sortal classifiers, Newt and Tilly. Newt occurs with plus human feature. You can see example 1, 2, and 3. Without classifier, the sentence will be ungrammatical. And and Tilly occurs with minus human feature. And these classifiers always follow the numerals that is followed by the noun. Basically, the word order is numeral classifier noun. And they are very obligatory with numerals used with noun because their deletion results in ungrammatical sentence you can see here. And they do not have any specific meaning of their own. I talked about okay, then you have mensural classifier also in Khasi, which is kilo, and it also accompanied the numeral. Numeral 1 again does not take any like Nikumaris here also it does not take sortal classifier. Rather, it is accompanied by the respective gender agreement marker that the noun takes. For example, in 8, it's feminine gender marker, one girl, so they are with ka, vai, ka, kan, thai. For one boy who is a masculine gender marker, so they are accompanied by the same. And it do not take numeral 1, do not take sortal classifier. This is not just a case of Khasi, in other languages also the same happens. And I talked about Santhali earlier. So it has very unusual system of classifier that only occur with numerals. But the thing is that do not categorize the inherent properties of noun. For example, here for one they use 10, for 2, 3, and 4 it's air. For from 5 to 10 they use gotten here. And these classifiers they also do not have a specific meaning and but obligatory to attach. As the sentence will be ungrammatical and the word order is same here, it's numeral classifier language, but we do not categorize Santhali as a numeral classifier language. Yeah, and then now we'll see how different is numeral 1. So before also we saw in the ordinals and multiplicatives, we have suppletive form for numeral 1. Then 1 do not take classifiers. And we saw that even for the distributive numerals, the form is in suppletion. The form used is suppletive. And now we'll see some more examples. Before that, Seth Barbius in 2005 and 7 claims that numeral 1 is linguistically exceptional and it differs from the rest of the cardinal numerals. You can see the example of Tamil here as a noun, it's Ondru, as a modifier, it's Oru. So like one boy should be like Ondru Pine, but this is not correct, that's ungrammatical, they use Oru Pine. Kuduk is very interesting, they have 3 allomorphs for numeral 1. One is on, which is a cardinal form, oroth, when one modifies the noun in a phrase with plus human feature, they use oroth, and when one modifies the noun in a phrase with minus human feature, it's onte. But now they are losing their numeral system very fast because the younger generation are not using the older system of numeral. They are using the Indo-Aryan variety. This data has been taken from an very old man, so now I got so that's why I got this distinction. And Hartford in 1987 said that cross-linguistically 1, 2, 3 or sometimes 4 they have linguistic properties that are different from those of the higher numbers. So for example, in Telugu you have numeral which is 1, 2, 3. So as a noun it's okatti, rendu, and muru. When they are using NP as a modifier, okatti changes into oka, rendu becomes iddaru, muru changes into mugu. And one another interesting fact with 1 is in Thangal, this external ordinal marking circumfixal type, this is also very rare. Until this time, I found this only in this language, which is Thangal, Tibeto-Burman language. So for the first, in Thangal is a khatna. Khat is one, a na are attached with khat. Similarly, with second, ni is two, a na is attached. So they are using circumfix to form ordinals from the cardinal. But the same ordinal first, when modifies the noun, for first man, it becomes amasa napa. Instead of akhatna napa, it's amasa napa. For second and third, they use the same. But in both the gender, for first man, first women, for the first, they use the another form, which is amasa instead of akhatna. And similar construction is there in Malayalam also, where first is Unnamata and but the first man is Adyate Purushen. It's not Unnamata Purushen. And then language isolate, you have language called
Mamta, if I may interrupt you once.
Yeah.
On the slide for Telugu, where you're showing the data, there is a comment and a follow-up question. So when you showed us the difference between 1 to 3 as noun versus as modifier, Rahul has a comment to make. He says that this is the plus human feature sensitivity that shows up.
Okay.
And Shrikar has a question here that Eminu has a short note in his linguistics paper about Dravidian having human classifiers as fossil or numerals. Do you know if Kuduk shows the difference for more numerals? Because Telugu shows the classifier till 7.
Yeah. No, in Dravidian, in Kuduk, they don't have classifier.
Okay. And Rahul had a follow-up comment to say that the human classifier here to look at is Guru.
Okay. Or from this Mugur, this Guru is a human classifier.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it goes for 4, 5, 6 also, Rahul?
If Telugu speakers can join in,
Yeah.
they both respond yes.
Okay.
Rahul and
Thank
Shrikar.
you. I know this. Thank you a lot for this comment.
Okay, up till 7. Please carry on.
Yeah. So the another very interesting numerals you can see here in Nahali, where one for masculine it's bidum, and for feminine one is vidi. They have two forms for tu, ir, and irar. That is not differentiated on the basis of gender. 3 and 4 they borrowed it from Dravidian, and from 5 rest other numerals are borrowed from Indo-Aryan. So Nahali is a complete mixture of language families, and the numbers are completely mixture. So concludingly, I just want to say that many languages are like losing their numeral system rapidly as they are not in use and are very much influenced by the dominant neighboring language. So many languages are shifting their numeral system into predominantly decimal base. For example, Khadiya. Khadiya had earlier full-phrased numeral system which was based on Vijayasimal. But now they have full-phrased decimal system, and it's not that that's borrowed. They have the same atoms for their language. They are using the same atoms, but next to build the further complex numeral, now they are using the decimal system. And the earlier complete their system was based on decimals. Parallelly, they have both the system, but now they are using decimal system more. And yeah, what happened that younger generation, they do not want to use the traditional one, which I saw in almost all my field work. This happens with Kuduk also, that the younger generation do not they do not know even and do not want to learn their numeral systems. So they are they are losing day by day. And so I think this is now high time for us as a linguist, like to preserve this numeral system of the languages. And what's happening as a result, like many uncommon systems are like quickly vanishing along with the mathematical insights or some other linguistic features they hold. So we need more research, as we have so many lesser known languages in India, like whose numeral system is about to danger. And the important thing is that even the language is not in danger. Even the language is not in danger, the numeral system is about to in danger. And numeral systems also provide an insight into the human cognition, and along with their social cultural background, losing them would be like losing our history and our way towards our future. And not only this, numerals have their cognitive implications too, and the area of acquisition of neural system is also very interesting field for future research if someone is interested. So giving this general idea, giving this general presentation, my idea or motive behind this presentation is just to make aware that there are some linguistics involved in numeral, like where we can work and preserve the system. because extensive work has been done in European languages and other languages, but very less number of work has been reported for in the context of Indian languages. And even if it's there, they are like very preliminary and basic. And really any word includes also the proper description of numeral in their work. Like if someone is working on grammatical sketch, I tried to find something on numerals. So it's maximum half pages or 1 pages I can get in some grammatical sketch. Else we really never work on this area. And we are surrounded by numerals, but never pondered about this. That's why I wanted to present the basic of numeral system. So any one of you can work on that or to try to preserve that. And these are the references.
Thank you, Mamta.
Sure.
This was a wonderful talk. And now we have questions for you, definitely after such an interesting talk. The last question that was brought to your attention, there's a follow-up comment which gives us a reference that might be useful for your work. Gopal has replied that when we were talking about the human classifiers that appear in Telugu only up till 7, Stever 1998 has mentioned that Kuduk has this difference till 3, not beyond that. So that
name
Stever, Stever, 1998.
Oh.
So that might be one area you can look at.
Yeah, I love this.
Stever 1998.
Yeah.
Next up, there is a clarification question by Gargi, who wants you to explain once again what you meant when you said that one is different in Tibeto-Burman versus Austroasiatic languages.
No, I didn't say that it's different in these two language family. Like one is different from the rest of the cardinal numerals. One functions sometimes differently from the rest of the cardinal numerals. That like the suppletive forms it takes, like the sort of classifier it do not takes. That's what. There's no difference I told about between two particular language families.
Okay.
One totality and cardinality, one functions differently from the rest of the cardinals.
Okay. I hope that clears Gargi's question. There was one question in between which was resolved by Aisha and Rahul, but I'll bring this up again because it might be pertinent to the discussion. Sakshi Bhatia wanted to know that if subtraction is potentially more complex than addition, then we might see cross-linguistic differences in the acquisition timeline of equivalent number concepts depending on the nature of numeral system. Do you know of any work supporting this possibility? To this question, Aisha and Rahul have replied with Charles Yang's work on acquisition, and there's also an MIT Press book by Ionin and Matsushansky, which is relevant. If you have anything more to add to this.
No, I have not.
Acquisition work.
Read about acquisition and cognitive implications. That's why I wrote that this topic is like really open for future research.
Okay.
For the morphology induced in all these types of numerals.
To all the research students, yes.
Yeah, in fact, I have to like go through this. What is it? Charles Yang.
Charles Yang. And then there's one work.
Ionin and Matsushansky. Yeah.
Sushansky. I'll give those references to you. I'll have them noted. Yeah, after the talk. I'll get back to the questions.
Yeah.
We have them piled on. Vyom wants to hear your thoughts on why the numeral system is so...
Yeah. Can I just say one thing?
Sure, Asha.
Yeah, so I think that Sakshi's question is not really going to be resolved until you look at a language which has subtractive numerals, and in Hindi it's quite high. It's at 1920 that you get the first kind of subtraction, and that's more like a submorphemic subtraction, which is quite different from the Dravidian subtraction, where you literally see the subtraction operation. But I'm wondering whether we will necessarily, I mean, so this is the internal structure of the item 9, right? And whether the acquisition actually requires you to know that you are doing subtraction. You can just learn the word for 9 as 10 minus 1. You learn it like a compound. So one question in the acquisition study is, are numeral words, even though we see a clear morphology, are numeral words learnt uh, in in terms of their internal morphological structure. So I don't think the acquisition question or generally the know what speakers know question is going to be answered just by has been answered yet. And until you look at, let's say, the acquisition of nine, and I don't even know what it might be. Um, I mean, it may be a processing study of children who don't know during acquisition, because once they just learn it, they can just learn it as a compound. So I think it's an interesting, prediction.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Different.
That's one fertile area which is up for grabs for future research
For
work
future research work.
to any MA student in our talk right here. Yeah. I'll get back to Vyom's question. He wants to hear your thoughts on why the numeral system is so susceptible to majority language influence as compared to other items like relationship items, relationship
They
terms.
are, I think these are like much in use, not only in their own context, own community, or their own place. So numeral systems are like really, we are like every day we are surrounded with the numerals. So it's like for general, can you tell me the question again? Exactly what do you want to
Like why we have such majority language influence on numeral systems as compared to other areas like relationship terms. It's just a speculative question.
Yeah, it's I think it's because of the same thing, because of the use is much more of numerals in our daily life. So how we have already Hindi and English, how we use English in most of the contexts, and there are some words which even we don't know the Hindi of those words which are very so it goes like I think I exactly.
And it could also be because of it's the currency of transaction that
for everything. That's what I'm saying. Every day in every hour we are dealing somewhere with the numerals. We are time, or we are spending, we are using money or whatever. So maybe that could be the reason. I don't know why this borrowing happens and why they are moving towards decimal also, because decimal is the simplest system, the very simple one, like to build up your numeral on the decimal. It's easier. So maybe they are moving towards, that's why it's decimal. Yeah. And
okay. He's satisfied with this.
Yeah, and this happens with higher numerals more, that they borrow directly the higher numerals more, not the first 1 to 100 numbers, but when it moves towards 100,000,
interesting.
It's all the time it's borrowed because at that time I'm not sure that when these tribes used to exist and they came into existence, they had this use of this number till lakhs and thousands and crores. So these numbers are completely borrowed.
Okay. Interesting.
There are languages with still they do not have numerals also. They have difference of 1 and then many. They have 1, 2, 3, many. In Andamanese languages, you don't have numeral beyond 3. So you just have 1, 2, 3, and then rest everything is many for them. They have their different strategies to count or quantify the things.
There is one follow-up question related to this point by Anchan. She wants to ask, do you think shift from or loss of traditional occupation could be a reason for the loss of numeral system?
That's quite possible. That's happening, and I had
even when the language is not endangered.
Yeah, in Arunachal that's happening. They have a very amazing system of quantification. They have tools for measure and everything, but they are losing it day by day. So with that, they are losing their all these insights also, all these numerical terms also.
Okay, that was intriguing. Now we have 2 data questions. First is from Madhu. So she actually wants other Malayalam speakers to help in this. She says that there is one word, ennam, which is used along with numbers. Is that like a classifier? And she gives us an example for this. For example, Rendu ennam apple, which she has glossed as 2 number apple. So the ennam,
it's in Malayalam.
It's in Malayalam. Yeah. So she is asking whether this could be a classifier, and if other Malayalam speakers have any intuition on this?
We have to check it from, like, we have to check it with more numbers and more other kind of things. What is like two boys? What is two boys? What is two girls? What is two ships? Or two trees? What
Your voice suddenly became further away. Could you come closer to your mic, please, Mamta?
Yeah, to say that this is a classifier, not we need to really check it with lot many other. But as far as I think, NM is not a classifier. What exactly it is, because I have other NPs where it's two girls or two boys. Madhu, do you use NM with two boys also? Here it's two apple. What if it's two boys? Or two?
Yeah, I think it doesn't come with humans. But Anjali also has the same thing in her mind to say about Ennam.
So what is okay? So no, not with humans. So
Yeah, I think it's with.
trees? What if it's two trees or two dog? Anything?
Yeah, Mamta, unlike classifiers in Bangla and all, I think in Bangla you say for two boys or two something, say
So
two classifier and that noun, right? You
Yeah.
don't do that in Malayalam. So Ennam will come,
Yeah.
Ennam will, I think, encode the noun as well in it, right, Madhu? When you say, you ask someone how many apples do you want?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
render
like
down-
Yangshan. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like Yangshan says, it actually replaces the noun. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that's not because as far as I know, Malayalam is not under classified language for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I can just add the Tamil data. Like you said, no, like I have mentioned also in the comment, the
Yes.
form changes for the modifier till 5. Even in Tamil for humans, the form changes.
It's the same thing. So in Dravidian, this happens for the human.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
human feature, human classifier basically. Human feature.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Noted it down. Oh, it's still 5, right? It's still 5, you said.
Yes, she mentioned in Tamil it's still 5.
Yeah, in Telugu, I think it's still 7.
Telugu, it's still 6. Oh, thank you so much.
So our next data question, we are shifting our topography to mountains. It's a Spiti language data question. Shrikar wants to know whether the multiple reduplication in Spiti, does Spiti have a word for each? Each.
Oh, because when I ask this question, you can see I have question, give us 3 sweets each. So they didn't like able to give the sentence like this. Each. So for one each also they suggest chick. For any time they want to reduplicate it, they just reduplicate it again and again. There's reduplication. I found in some data it's triple duplication also. Triplication, which you say, that's also. But I don't know exactly for each they have one.
Okay.
In Bhoti,
Shrikar.
give me the word each. It exactly gives the meaning of each. Kind of. Just say like in
Shrikar says thank you.
Yeah.
Oh. Shrikar says thank you. And we have now 2 comments coming up. Anjali first says, I think the historical relevance of the structure of some of these numeral systems will be a fascinating gateway to understanding the evolution of the economic systems
I got the
of
same
that culture.
comment in my last conferences where I presented my work. That historical relevance is really there. A lot of things are there to work on numerals. This is just a start because no work has been really done on the context of Indian language numerals. So I am just looking the parameters, how really it is a structure and how it works. You have lot many historical factors, you have lot many social linguistic factors, and then acquisition part. It's open for research. It's huge. It's really
Wonderful. One more comment that you have is from Gopal. He wants to mention it that some tribal Dravidian languages like Kui and Kuvi, they are vigesimal due to Munda influence.
Yeah, quite possible. Yeah. They are changing, yeah. Because of influence, they are changing from vigesimal to decimal also. And that becomes complex to reduce the complexity. Also, they are changing towards another system. So yeah, it's in the it changes.
Before I let in Aisha, who has raised her hand. Okay, it's the same point. Aisha, come in. Hello, Aisha.
Hello.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't the same point. See,
Oh.
I mean, the interesting thing about the morphology of numeral systems is that you use fairly regular morphological devices to get the whole system. There seem to be breaks around tens, and how do you calculate? But the systems seem to be actually quite uniform, and particularly because you want to generate an infinite function, you like to have clear rules. So Anjali's comment that you have to refer to the economic system. I mean, I think that the economic system might indicate to you systems of use, but of course, the mathematical operations and what you choose as your base, your a priori assumptions do not arise from anything but the human mind. And that's why you have sexagesimal system versus whatever, all the decimal, etc. And so that to make this all referential to the external, I think would be a fatal mistake, to not see these as a cognitive property. And the second is, of course, the morphology is supposed to guide you. Now, cross-linguistically, what we know is that if you're just in a predator-prey kind of situation, there's really no point in counting to 29, because if you kill 29 without a fridge, 29 bison, there's just no way you're going to be able to store them. So that we know from Piraha and from all those language systems, in predator-prey situations, they're very small number systems. But it's a morphology, and cognitively also we know that these are numerosities 1, 2, 3 seem to be represented cognitively for us as not necessarily a counting system. That these numerosities are represented in various species, not only us. So really, language makes these tools for thinking available. And then, where you want to, so your economic system might not tell you need 29. But then you rely on the rules of language to get you to 29, 39, 59, 69. Now, what is interesting in the little thing that Mamta presented, just 1 minute, Rahul, please. Sorry, I have somebody else doing a phone call nearby. Okay, I'll come back later.
Okay, so while we wait for Aisha's immediate environment to become silent, the stage is open for further questions. Any question, comment, clarification?
Yeah, any unusual system you guys found in your mother tongue, any one of you, different ways, different atom, if you're idiosyncratic, picture, or overcounting, or distributive, is there any unusual system in any of your languages, mother tongues?
Mamta, in the meanwhile, could you please write your email ID in the group chat box so that if anybody has any follow-up question or comment, they can reach out to you via mail?
I can come back whenever you want. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry there was one Harinder Ji phone call because Rahul was eavesdropping on Mamta's talk. Rahul, my husband, was a mathematician. So no, what I was saying was that this is the sort of problem that numeral systems face, that their morphology, because it's so encapsulated, it seems to be, if you haven't gone past 20, you can just take from another system. They seem so the systems, they seem to be much more malleable than and more amenable to borrowing than perhaps any other noun morphology system, because those are more general. You borrow into that. So the Santali cases where suddenly from 13 onwards you start borrowing. The Hindi system. Then you go back to the Vijayasimal system. So just thinking, I think productively how one thinks about the history of those systems is that there seems to be, because every numeral system, counting system seems to get divided into by the fact that whatever base you've taken, that you end up getting lots of systems living in through borrowing in one system of a language. So that I think there are linguistic ways of discussing this question, which are not referential to what they were like, because it's my personal problem. I hate referring to the real world to be able to explain something about language, because the system that is evolving, that evolves, is one that comes from your mind. It doesn't come from the outside. So sorry to be on a soapbox on this, but I think we should, of course, there's a connection with the outside world. It's not that. But that connection is fundamentally mental. It's not a connection of simply, because otherwise we'll just become grass skirt wearing tribal saying, Acha, haan, mere ko 12, I saw 12 birds, so I will make a word 12. I mean, the danger of exotic nativism is always there. And we should always, I think academically, we should avoid it. Okay, I'm out.
Nothing could have wrapped up the importance of what we have discussed today more than that. So thanks, Aisha. Before I take up Yangchen's question, Gargi, the question that you had asked in between about the Tibeto-Burman languages and classifiers, I hope your inquiry is resolved. If there's any follow-up question, you can bring them up now. In the meanwhile, I'll get back to, okay, Gargi says she's done. So Yangchen wants to know, Mamta, that do you think mother tongue primary education can help protect endangered numeral systems, apart from making counting easier for children who speak these languages as their first language?
Do you think mother tongue primary education can help
protect endangered numeral systems, apart from making counting easier for children who speak these languages as their first language?
Yeah, of course, like in primary education, if we are going to use or teach like their own language also, like we were discussing it in other presentations, that for
yes.
What did you say? Okay, that in primary, if they are using their mother tongue, that will definitely help them out. Okay, so that simply goes for this numerals also, that if they get educated, like, but generally what happens then again, that it's not gonna be.
Everybody lose Mamta's voice.
Okay, hello, now?
I can hear her. I have been able to.
Okay. Sorry, please carry on. It must be my internet issue then.
I think what Yangchen is saying is like asking is pretty fair, because it's like just not the case of numerals only. Like even when we talk about endangered language, similarly endangered numeral system, of course, if they are going to get educated in their mother tongue, that's really gonna help. Like I want to give you the example of my experience from Tibeto-Burman language. When I was in fieldwork of Tibeto-Burman language, what I saw that most of the youngsters, they know their numeral system till 30 or 31. That's because they have a calendar which deals with till number 30 and 31 because of the number of days in a month. So they know it till 30 because they are using it as in their, they are seeing it every day in their calendar. That's why they know it till 30. After that, even they don't know about 40, what is 41, what is 50. Because they are not using it at all in their primary education, and even in day-to-day life when they are outside in a market or somewhere, anywhere they use, when even for the time they do not use their numbers to say the time, basically time, or when they talk about money, every time I saw that they are not using their own numbers. Even the people who were of age 40 or 50, so when they are talking in something, it's in the context of numeral, they are using the numbers which are really borrowed, and the English one basically 12, 30, 40, 50, 60 kind of. They don't want to use their own number. So I think if they will try to educate them in their primary education, that will definitely help to preserve the number system. And what was her second part actually?
The second part was just an add-on to the context where she was saying that those children, they speak their language rather than the first language being taught to them in the schools. So that was it.
Okay.
Okay. So I think Yangchen, that solves the query you had. There is one follow-up on the language acquisition work we were discussing earlier for numeral systems. Shrikar has a point to make that the Charles Yang's work suggests that teaching something with fewer exceptions makes it easier.
Yeah, make it faster, easier.
Even it makes the counting easier.
Yeah, and that's the reason why they are like moving towards the simpler one, borrowed one, the simpler one, or the decimal system towards to make it easier.
Thanks, Shrikar, for that. Final call for questions. Aisha, then to decimal hoga.
Sorry,
She
I
wants
don't
to
know
say
the easiness argument. Yeah, sure, but then you're not going to. It's not easy, and again, and I just said that it's not pure. Like numeral counting system in any small language that's going to be a big one is not going to be a pure system. It's going to borrow. It will have borrowed historically. It will continue to borrow. So what is this? And I mean, what's the point of nothing about counting is easy, and in fact learning the names for the learning the names to and the operations involved in the numeral system. If your language has something, the laws of language are easier to understand. The laws of mathematics, you're actually hardwired to understand syntax. You're not morphology syntax, you may not be hardwired to understand division in the same sense. So if your language has a complex system, like whatever the Harvard example where you say 30 is 20 plus half of the second score going on to 40, and that is 30. It's like a full paragraph. You'll know exactly what to do. And maybe, just because you have more information, morphological information in your number word, maybe it's a good way to learn an arithmetical operation along with a system. So, I mean, I don't know Charles's work, and I'm generally a big fan, so there must be some good reason. But I don't think complexity is something that throws young kids. And so, I certainly for preserving systems, you need to teach in that language. Yeah. So, I mean, what Rahul is saying, so what Rahul is saying, that numbers are so complex in themselves, in any case, and so abstract in themselves, that, easiness and abstraction might not be such a, simple thing to decode. Yeah, I'm out.
Aisha, I was just trying to say, instead of counting, I suppose I should have said acquiring the successor functions. Like it's just next number instead of like doing complex arithmetic.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody has anything else to add to the discussion? This is the time to do so. The silence talks for itself. Mamta, you did a fabulous job. Compliments for you are pouring in the group chat. You can enjoy them there. This was quite an extensive work that you walked us through, and I thank you for that.
and still going on.
Hello?
I said thank you and still going on.
Yes, it's definitely. We are eagerly waiting for the final thesis to come out.
And I'm eagerly
And
waiting for the more researcher to work on the other aspects of this. I can't, like, it's not possible to handle.
Yeah, definitely just tip off the iceberg.
Yeah, it's just like.
Yes. Yes, definitely. So thank you for encouraging so many of us in these areas to think about. And thanks to all the participants for joining us today. Our topic today has actually laid the groundwork for our next speaker's work. We'll have Roopkatha Mukherjee joining us on Saturday, 16th May at 2 p.m. with her work on classifier-less DPs in Bangla. Hoping to see you all then, and thank you. Thank you, Mamta.
Thank you, everyone, to join me. Thank you.
Thank you.